A visible change to the landscape of the Salt Lake Temple, 9 months into the historic renovation.
Now, during this phase, most of the improvements around the temple that were done in the 1960s have been removed.
Those areas include the ceiling addition of the temple, the north entrance, and chapel. The debris meticulously sorted into useful piles of material to be recycled for another day.
So our effort is to repurpose as many of the materials as possible and to reduce the amount that we send to the landfill.
Copper, aluminum, steel, stone, and concrete are among the materials recycled. A more time-consuming process to be sure, but one to which the church and its contractors are strongly committed.
It is a careful process, but it's one that's the right thing to do.
Our estimates will exceed well the minimum requirements by the city, and we're proud of our efforts to be good stewards of that process.
Clearing debris for the next phase of the renovation has revealed old-world craftsmanship in preparation for modern-day engineering and reinforcement.
We are exposing some of the historic foundation stones that were originally laid for the construction of the temple. It strengthens the perspective of what a sacrifice it was to lay this foundation for future generations of the church. It's awe-inspiring to me.
Excavating down 40 feet will begin as part of the preparation for strengthening the temple foundation. But before that can happen, crews with massive augers are drilling holes using these segment casings to create a retaining wall around the perimeter of the temple property.
So once we get to the bottom of the hole, we'll pick a steel beam and place it in the center of the hole. And then we'll dump concrete down the hole and then start extracting the casing. Those soldier piles are installed anywhere from 40 to 60 feet below grade.
They're also getting installed around the temple.
So we don't want to have any opportunity of material flowing out from underneath the foundations that would create cracking or settlement.
Great care is being taken to protect the root system of the cherished cedar of Lebanon tree by shoring up around it.
There are very few projects like this in the world, and it takes a lot of expertise and a lot of planning, and it's just been so neat to be a part of.
Cables anchored into the sides of the retaining wall provide additional stability to hold the soil in place. Sheathing on part of their length allows the cables to move, enabling this machine to stretch them.
We're able to tension those cables up against the steel beam, and that helps resist any type of movement of the soil that would want to kind of fall into the excavation.
Next, 4-inch thick wood lagging is added. When completed, the cables and lagging will span the entire depth of the 40-foot hole surrounding the perimeter of the temple grounds.
The next stage is probably the hardest, where we work on strengthening the foundations by adding to the foundation.
The culmination of that work, installation of these huge base isolation bearings.
What you can see here is a top and bottom plate, and then in the middle of it you've got a dished plate of stainless steel, and inside of there you've got a ball bearing.
They're rated to support the colossal weight of the temple during a high-magnitude earthquake.
Well, the temple weighs about 187 million pounds.
The 98 base isolators will be placed on new footings underneath the temple's existing foundation, each tested to withstand 9 million pounds of pressure. Combined, that's nearly 5 times the weight of the temple.
The dished plate would actually allow it to just kind of float and just kind of slow the building down as it starts to come back down and settle down. If any building in the valley is worthy of going to this extent, this is the one.
Those in charge of seeing the monumental project to completion say they're not alone when faced with immense challenges.
We seek the inspiration of Father in Heaven, and we know that He'll give us His guidance in building His house.
I truly believe that we have been guided, the engineers have been guided in working through all the details and so forth, and as we discover things, it's put on the table, it's worked out, and things continue to progress and move forward.
Visually, much has changed, with much more to be accomplished in the next few years.
There's been significant changes around the temple, but trust that this is a phase and a step to the important process of strengthening the temple and preparing it for many generations in the future.